This is the Spotlight segment. Stay tuned for premium interviews, device unboxing and more.
Now we move to the second part of our Spotlight section, and John demonstrates the Samsung Galaxy Watch6 Classic.
Hi, John here, and today I'm going to be demonstrating the Galaxy Watch6 Classic, at least as far as talkback usage and some accessibility features. I'll first start by saying that this comes with talkback 13.1. So this is a newer version of what I had on my watch last time I used it, which was a few months back, which was 12.1. With the new version of talkback, unfortunately, in my experience, comes some downsides. First, I can't seem to activate the angle gestures as easily. I'd say before, I was able to maybe get them 9 out of 10 times I tried, and now it's more like 1 out of 3 if I'm lucky. Now, that being said, I know most of you probably don't try to use your angle gestures, but that's something I made use of, so when it stops working, I definitely notice it. Also, a lot of the default gestures are strange and different, and mostly not even there. So, for example, the only angle gestures that are set to anything are down and right is the talkback menu. Now, right then down is lower accessibility volume. Right then up is raise accessibility volume. And all the other gestures are not assigned to anything. That includes recents and home and back. So if you want those gestures to work, you have to go into talkback settings and reassign them yourself. I looked, and this version of talkback does support actions as a reading control, which is ironic because as of this recording, Samsung phones out of the box do not support that yet. They're still running 13.5, which is based on 13.0 and does not have actions as a reading control. That being said, I don't know if any watch UI elements even have actions or if any watch apps support actions, but if they do, it's there. The only thing is it's not enabled by default, so you'd have to go into talkback settings, go to customize menus, then customize reading controls and add actions. It's not there by default like it is on phones. Now that that's out of the way, I did want to mention one more thing before I start with the demonstration, and that is that the Watch 4 Classic that I have running Watch UI 5 Beta, which is the same operating system that comes with the Watch 6, seems to run basically identically. I tried to side by side see which one was more responsive, see which one started talkback faster, see which one booted up faster, and as far as I could tell, they were almost exactly identical. There is no difference at all. So if you're thinking of upgrading from your Watch 4 Classic to a Watch 6 Classic, don't do it for any accessibility reasons. You might want to look into what the difference is between the watches from a mainstream standpoint, as far as maybe health monitoring features and stuff like that. But as far as like usage with talkback, it's not going to be any better on the Watch 6 Classic. Although the Watch 6 Classic obviously will be supported for a couple more years as far as OS updates go. Okay, so I'm going to just turn it on now.
2:42 p.m.
This is the watch face. I'm just going to swipe.
2:42 p.m. Battery 89%. Steps 1984.
That's actually a lot of steps considering I did not wear this much at all today. But that's the complications that are on the current watch face that I have. Depending on what watch face you have set, you'll have different complications. So from the watch face, if you swipe down with 2 fingers,
Quick panel page 1 of 2.
that'll take you to the quick panel.
Battery 89%.
I have battery,
Settings.
settings,
Do not disturb off. Selected sound mode on. Volume. Find my phone.
those are the 6 I have on page 1.
Turn off. Do not disturb off.
And then swiping
Selected sound mode on.
does not automatically scroll it. I don't think there's anything on page 2.
Quick panel page 2 of 2. Battery 89%. Add.
Yeah, there's just a button to add more. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to hit the home key and go back home.
Home screen. Steps 1984.
Now if you swipe up, that'll take you to your app drawer.
Apps. Phone.
I'm just going to swipe through a few of these just so you can see.
Samsung Health Monitor.
That swipe didn't work.
Contacts.
That swipe did not seem to work.
Messages.
That did.
Samsung Health. Samsung Health Monitor.
And this is something else I noticed in TalkBack 13.1. A lot of times you'll try to swipe and it thinks you're just exploring by touch real quickly. So if you hear multiple clicks, that's what's going on.
Samsung Health.
That worked.
Samsung Health. Maps.
So when it works,
Play Store. Compass.
I guess it's pretty responsive.
Find my settings.
I'm going to go back home.
2:44 p.m.
So from here, if you turn the bezel left or swipe 2 fingers to the right, that will take you to your notifications,
No notifications.
which I have none of. So I'm going to go back to the home screen, which it did not say anything. So
2:45 p.m.
I have to touch the screen. If you turn the bezel to the right or swipe 2 fingers to the left, that will
2:45 p.m.
go to your widgets.
Daily activity tile 1.
I'm turning it.
Multi-workouts tile 2.
You would think 1 click would change the widget, but for whatever reason, sometimes I have to turn
Sync
it
tile 4.
3 or 4 times.
Weather forecast tile 5.
I'm assuming this is a talkback issue. So it might just be easier just to swipe with 2 fingers to
Daily
go
activity
between
tile.
your widgets.
Multi-workouts tile. Body composition tile 3.
Yeah, so I'm going to go back home.
2:45 p.m.
So I'm going to just show you Bixby and Google Assistant real quick. I have Bixby set to a long press of the home key, so I'm going to press that. What's the weather?
It is Bixby voice. It is mostly sunny and 80 degrees right now.
So as you can see, they still have not fixed this. Bixby starts to talk, and then TalkBack stops her and reads what she said anyway. So if you have TalkBack enabled, you'll have that lovely experience of an echo, I guess. Google Assistant is a little better. I'll bring up Google Assistant now. I have that assigned to a double press of the home key. What's the weather?
Right now in Chesapeake, it's 80 degrees and partly cloudy. Today, it'll be mostly sunny, with a forecasted high of 81 and a low of 65.
So that's a much better experience with TalkBack enabled. I'm going to go back home.
2:47 p.m. Home screen. 2:47 p.m.
So unfortunately, if you're going to use Bixby, it's better to turn TalkBack off. I'm going to try to send a text message with Bixby and see what happens with TalkBack enabled. I know it works fine with it turned off, but I'm going to try it with TalkBack on. Send a text message to myself.
Bixby voice. What do you want to say to myself?
This is just a test. Okay, so it was not listing because it got interrupted by TalkBack. So maybe if I press and hold it again. This is just a test message to myself.
Should I send this message?
It says, should I send this message? Let me
Myself.
swipe.
This is just a test message to myself.
So I can explore it. And then I'm going to press and hold again and say yes. Yes.
To do that, Bixby voice. Bixby. To do that, set messages as the default messaging app in settings under apps.
Okay, so I'm going to assume that would have worked.
Discover. Bixby.
I go home.
Home screen. 2:48 p.m.
Good to know. I'm hoping that means I have to set it as the default on the watch, because if it means I have to set it as the default on my phone, I'm not going to do that. Let's try Google Assistant, see if that's any different. Send a text message to myself.
All right, what's the message?
This is just a test.
Ready to send it?
This is just a test.
Ready to send it?
Sure.
Sending your message.
2:49 p.m. Home screen.
Okay, so
2:49 p.m.
that did work. But unfortunately, Google would not read it back to me. Google Assistant, I should say, would not read it back to me. I had to explore the screen to have it read it back to me, and it was trying to listen while I was doing that, so that will definitely confuse the assistant because it's waiting to know whether or not you should send it. I'm going to turn TalkBack off.
TalkBack off.
I think the ideal experience would be TalkBack off and Bixby, so I'm going to try that. Send a text message to myself.
What do you want to say to myself?
This is just a test.
Should I send this message? To myself, this is just a test. You can say send or cancel.
Cancel.
Okay, I won't do anything.
So I'm assuming that would have worked had I had Samsung messages as my default, and that's, I guess, the ideal situation for sending a text message using voice, because I had TalkBack off. I was not having to press the button each time I had to respond. It was just vibrating to let me know I could answer or I could say my message. So yeah, I'm not impressed. There doesn't seem to be one simple way to do it with TalkBack enabled. You either have to turn TalkBack off and use Bixby and have Samsung messages set as your default, or actually open the messages apps on the watch and go and send a message from there, which if I'm doing that, I may as well just pull out my phone. So that's not a feature I'm going to be using. I'm going to turn TalkBack on again.
TalkBack on. Home screen. Unread notifications.
Just going to go look at the accessibility settings. Open settings.
Please wait. Settings. John Dyer.
So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom.
Connections. About watch. Tips and tutorials. About watch. Tips and tutorials. Software update. Tips and tutorials.
So as you can see, swiping,
Software update.
not great. I'm just trying to swipe.
Accessibility.
Go to accessibility.
Accessibility. Functions you're using. Using 4 functions. Functions you're using 4 function. TalkBack.
There's TalkBack. This is where you would go to turn TalkBack on.
Functions you're using 4 functions.
Again, I'm just trying to swipe and it thinks I'm exploring.
Functions you're TalkBack. Visibility enhancements.
I'm not going to edit this out because I want you to see what it's really like.
Talkback. Visibility enhancements.
Okay, let's go to visibility enhancements and see what's in there. Double tapping
Visibility enhancements.
for the third time.
High contrast fonts off.
There's high contrast,
Color correction off.
color correction,
Color inversion off. Color filter off. Remove animations on. Reduce transparency and blur on. Magnification off. Bold font off. Font size.
So I think that's everything.
Font size.
I'm going to hit the back key, since the back gesture doesn't work.
Accessibility. Visibility enhancements.
Let's go to the next section.
Hearing enhancements.
Let's just see what's in hearing.
Hearing enhancements. Mute all sounds off. Connected audio. Mono audio off. Left/right sound balance. Connected audio. Mono audio off.
Okay, so that's all that's in here. I'm going to go back.
Accessibility. Hearing enhancements. Interaction and dexterity.
Interaction and dexterity.
Interaction and dexterity. Universal gestures off. Touch and hold delay, short 0.5 seconds. Tap duration, off. Ignore repeated touches, off. Short 0.5 seconds. Tap duration, off. Ignore repeated touches, off.
Okay, so that... I guess I went back to the top. I'm going to back out of here.
Accessibility. Interaction and dexterity. Advanced settings. Installed apps. Looking for this.
So I'm going to go
Installed
to
Advanced settings.
Advanced Settings.
Advanced settings. Home button shortcuts.
This is where you could change the shortcuts.
Double press none.
Double press and triple press.
Triple press. Talkback. Vibration watch on.
We go to Vibration Watch.
Vibration watch. Vibration watch on. Vibration type. Selected digits. Not selected terse. With the digits type, vibration watch gives you the current time in decimal format. A long vibration means 10 and a short vibration means 1. With the terse type, vibration watch gives the minutes briefly. 2 short vibrations means a quarter hour.
So that's a description of the different methods of telling you the time with vibration. So I'm going to go back to the home screen because that's pretty much all the accessibility settings.
Home screen. Unread notifications.
Now I'm going to tap with 2 fingers and it vibrated twice. So that means it's 2 something. So if I tap with 2 fingers twice, it just said 2. So this is not exactly reliable. I'll try it again. It said 2. Try it again. So that did 5 long vibrations followed by 6 short. So it's 256 right now. That's what I counted. So it's not incredibly reliable. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You have to be on the watch face and you tap once with 2 fingers to get the hours and you tap twice with 2 fingers to get the minutes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And the annoying thing about it is that the display has to be on for it to work. So if you want to incognito check your time without anybody noticing, you're going to have to know to turn off TalkBack beforehand. Like if you're going into a meeting or something, you're going to have to turn off TalkBack because you're going to have to light up your screen to even get this watch vibration to work. And then when your screen lights up, if TalkBack's on, it's going to read the time out loud. So that's definitely a downside to that. I also thought to try to enable always on display. That way it would work without actually going to the watch face, but that didn't work. So I would have enabled always on display just for that feature if it would let me have the vibration time without turning on the phone and having it announce the time out loud. So definitely keep that in mind if you plan on using that feature. The other thing I want to point out about it is that if the hour is 12, it sees it as a 0. So basically, you'll be tapping the screen with 2 fingers over and over again, wondering, did that register or not? Because it's just giving you 0 vibrations. So that needs to be fixed. I think that's just all I'm going to show. It's a general overview of the accessibility related stuff and TalkBack. You've probably already figured this out, but I don't recommend it. I personally don't like it. If you have to have an Android watch, it works. But I just personally find it frustrating. And especially if you're upgrading from a watch 4 or 5 and you expect it to perform better with TalkBack, that's not going to happen. So keep that in mind. I hate to be so negative, but I'm not going to lie to you. You're going to be spending your money on this, and I want you to know what my personal experience was. Yours might be a little bit different, but that's mine. Thanks for listening.
So not a massive fan then, John?
No, I was honestly a little bit disappointed in it.
They didn't ship a Pixel watch by mistake, did they, or anything? It was actually a Samsung product.
Yeah, it was a Samsung product. I hadn't used a watch for a few months, and last time I used it, it was running 12.1 as TalkBack, and I wasn't a fan of 13.1. It just didn't seem to be as responsive when I tried to do gestures on it.
But you're not that much of a fan of watches generally anyway, are you?
No, I'm not. So if I were into tracking health and tracking sleep and stuff like that, I would like it enough, like it's usable. But the things that I would want to do to save time, like just use my voice to send text messages from my wrist without pulling out my phone, that sort of thing. Like it's very clunky still. And
yeah, I don't use mine for that. So is it classic because it's got the bezel?
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's classic rather than... So is there a Watch 6 that's not classic as well?
Yeah, it's
Are they doing
$100
both?
cheaper, and it's exactly the same. It just does not have the rotating bezel.
Yeah, you see, I think I'd prefer that, even though I did like the bezel, because I worry, because I do like to go swimming, and I'd worry about more water getting in, with the bezel, with the moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also if it was cheaper, I'd go for that anyway.
Yeah.
Are you keeping it then, or are you sending it back?
I'm not sending it back, but I am going to sell it because I got it for half off because of the deal Samsung was offering. So
So
I
you'll
actually
still
get more money
make
by
some
selling
money.
it used.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to keep my Watch 4 Classic, which seems to do exactly the same thing as this. It doesn't seem slower or anything, so I'm just going to stick with my 4 Classic for now.